Okay, this is part 2 of the EQAO help video, part 1. It's part 2 of part 1. We're starting from 15. Last video ends at 14. Scientific notation. What is the correct way to express 25,300,000 in scientific notation? So scientific notation is the decimal comes after one number. So these so far are the only contenders with scientific notation. There's 2 decimal places here, or not 2 decimal places, but there's 25, and there's a 253. Only the ones column is left in scientific notation. And with scientific notation, so right away, these are gone. So it's a guess between these two, but obviously not a guess. And look at the exponent, it's the same. So it's tricky. The 50-50 is tricky once you get there. Scientific notation means I have to bring the decimal here, always after the very first number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, because people think I moved to the left 7, some guys will think -7. But it's not, because if you expand this, I want to get 25 million, right? So you can think of it this way too. Use your question to find the answer. Use the answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is a big number. This is the answer. Whereas this one, I have to move this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is like 0.00000. Like, who cares? Okay, but the mistake comes from this. You're moving to the left. Your teacher said moving to the left is how you have negative exponents, and that's what you think, okay? But depends. 16, box plot. The box plot shows Naomi's math test marks for the school year. Which of the following statements must be true? So here we have a box plot. In case you forgot stuff about box plots, this is the minimum. This is Q1. This is Q2, or the median. This is Q3, and this is the maximum. Naomi wrote exactly 5 math tests during the school year. So some guys are going to think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that's true. No, this has nothing to do with number of points, right? This is just a distribution, right? This is the median, this is the maximum value, and all the data is in here somewhere. Naomi received a mark of 76. No, that's just Q1, right? We know from previous examples, just because I have 2 numbers doesn't mean I have to use them to find the middle of them, right? 6 is in the middle. So I can get 5 on a test and 7 on another test, but Q1 is 6. So it doesn't mean that I got a 76 on a test. That's false. At least half of Naomi's math test marks are 84 and higher. 84, yep. The median means 50% is this way and 50% is this way. This is true. Naomi's mean test mark is 84. The mean test mark, no, this is the median. This is the median. It is not the mean. We don't know the mean. We don't have the data to calculate the mean. So that's the only statement that can be true. Let's keep going. Okay, so here we want to draw arrows to connect these terms to the corresponding positions. Best thing you can do here, just expand this. So, I'll do it on the paper here actually. Careful when you're expanding. This times this is not just 12x. There's a 2 x's, right? So I got to square the x. Collect your exponents. 3x times 5 is 15x. A lot of guys are putting 5 here. I know it. Just like this negative. You might do this, but you might forget to do this. This negative has to go into both. Now, I can collect like terms if I really want, but I don't really have to. That's a waste of time. Look what this question is asking. What's the first term and what's the last term? It already did the 7 for me. Look at that. 15 minus 8 is 7. Yeah, cool story. But it wants to know the 12. And it wants to know that I know the 5 goes here. And I'm done. But you get a situation like this, just simplify it. So you can make it look like this, and then you can really know which pieces go in. Okay, next one. The graph below shows the volume of gasoline in gallons remaining in 2 machines over several hours of continuous operation. So we have the volume of gasoline right here, and we have time over here. One machine, glug, 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 is using gas. Another machine, glug, 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 is using gas. Select 2 statements that are true below. Machine A runs out of gasoline before machine B. Machine A runs out of gasoline before, 2 hours before machine B, actually. Yeah, that's true. Machine A and machine B start with the same amount of gasoline. No, machine A starts with 45 gallons and machine B starts with 30 gallons. That's definitely false. The two machines never have equal volumes of gasoline at the same time. Well, that's not true. Right here, they both have 15. That's true. That's false. Machine A consumes gasoline at a greater rate than machine B. Machine A consumes gas faster. So you can think of it in two ways. Starts with more and finishes earlier, for sure it's faster, or the steepness of the line is steeper. So this is true. Anytime you're talking about greater rate or faster, it means the line on the graph is steeper. Yeah, that was a pretty easy one. All right, percentages. Gotta pick up a calculator. The equatorial radius of Venus is 78.5% greater than Mars. The equatorial radius of Earth is 5.3% greater than Venus. If the equatorial radius of Mars is 3389.5 kilometers, what is the Earth's equatorial radius? You might get confused here. You might get bothered that you have to go back and understand, okay, Mars is here. Like, you might have to read this 3 times. So read it 3 times. Because if you don't read it 3 times, it means you don't care. So please care. So I have to take this number, which is Mars, and find 78.5% of it, okay? 3389.5 times 0.785. I'm gonna get my calculator, plug it in, and I'm gonna get 2660.75. This is just 78% of it. This is saying it's 78.5% greater. So now I have to add the original 3389. And I'm going to get 6050.24, whatever. Doesn't really matter. And I'm not caring so much about further decimals because I know that these are in whole numbers. So as long as I have 2 decimals, I'm okay. Now, this is Venus. I'm almost there. If I know Venus, I know the Earth. It's 5.3% greater. Okay, well, let me take Venus and multiply it by 0.053. And I'm going to get 320.66. Now I have to add the 6050. And this is Earth. Okay, so yes, I can round it because, a 6370 is not here. Well, obviously it's this one because not only is it rounded, but it's the closest one. So it's got to be that one. So this is 6371, making this the correct answer. Now, yes, there's obviously a faster way to do this. This is kind of annoying, too much writing. You could just collect your percentages first. Okay, I don't recommend that because you have to include the hundreds, but I could do 178.5% times 105.3% and then times it by this. You should get the same answer. But I don't even want to show you that because I recommend not doing that. Take your time and do one step at a time. Okay, next one I could do here. What is the measure of angle X in the following diagram? Okay, it's no circle properties again. These angles are the same. When you have this butterfly happening, these angles are the same. You also need to know that opposite angles are equal, always. So just by knowing that, I can find out X. Actually, just by knowing this 60, I can find out X. Because 80 and 60, that's 140. So I need another 40 degrees over here to make 180 in that triangle. Done. All right, lines. Probably the hardest part of grade 9 is equations of lines and working with equations, so beware. Now, you should know how this line looks, but in case you don't, you should know something about this line. If you know nothing about this line, that's rough, okay? Because it's kind of getting the end of the semester. We want to know, after a reflection in the x-axis, what are the coordinates of the y-intercept? So the y-intercept is this guy right here. And this is the slope. This means that in a graph, at 4 is where this function starts, or this line. And then I use the slope to go down 5 over 1, put a point, down 5 over 1, put a point, and I graph a line. But it's not asking me to do that here. There's no point to do that. It's saying that if this y-intercept is reflected in the x-axis, imagine this is a mirror, it's obviously going to go to -4. That's it. That's really easy. Okay, but it's only easy if you know that this is the y-intercept, or else it's not easy. Okay, you might think 5 is the y-intercept. You're going to put it to a positive 5. Silly. A few more. Horrible coding one, but we're going to go through it. The following sequence begins with the numbers 0 and 1, and each term is found by adding the previous two terms. 0, 1, 1, 2. 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, 3 plus 5 is 8, 5 plus 8 is 13, so the next one's going to be 13. This is the Fibonacci sequence. Pseudocode is written to display the first 30 terms of this sequence. Draw an arrow to indicate where the line of each code should be placed correctly to complete the pseudocode. So in order to do this, I have to set two things. Right? I have to set two values equal to each other. So set value equal to -1, okay, and set value 2 equal to 1. So I'm going to move this right here, because without value 1 and value 2, I can't even do any of these. Okay, I can't. Now that's going to loop 30 times, and then it's going to say, well, are you going to calculate next, or are you going to set something? Okay, well, I'm going to set calculate next because I want the next number in the sequence. And I've already set 2. I've set the first number and the second number. Even though this is a -1, that just means it's starting like back here, just to get it started. So this one's going to go here. And then over here, if I've set value 1 equal to value 2, because now I'm like pushing ahead and I want to do the same thing again, I have to set value 2 equal to whatever answer I get over here. Now, if you're really confused at what just happened here, that's fine. This is a terrible question, absolutely terrible. Who knows if they'll even count it, okay? Because to even follow along on what's happening with this sequence doesn't really make much sense. So I give this question a big L. Let's move on. Select all of the following sets for numbers that include 0, okay? You're gonna get this question for sure. It might be a little different than this, but it's one of those multi-selects, and we know how you feel about multi-selects if you've done anything on Knowledge Hook. They cheese you, I know. So first of all, natural numbers do not include 0. Natural numbers are counting numbers. Irrational numbers are numbers that can't be represented as a fraction. Well, I can say 0 is 0 over 5, so that's wrong. Integers, positive, negative, all whole numbers. That's right. Real numbers, every number in existence. Yep, I think so. Done. Moving on. All right, another hard question. I need to find an algebraic, okay, in the following figure, all angles formed by adjacent sides are right angles. So these are all right angles, in case you cared. If it says that, I'm probably going to draw it. Which algebraic expression represents the area of the figure? So there's a few ways you can do this. I'm going to do it the most direct way. First, I'm going to find the area of this big rectangle right here, because it's easy. It's just 3x times 6x plus 8. And the area is going to be 18x squared plus 24x. And you might be rushing already to select this question because you daydreamed for a second, you think you're done. No, what about this? You have to add this area, and this is the hardest part of this question, is figuring out what this area is. You know this dimension, you know these dimensions, so if you know the whole side, I could just say, well, 6x plus 8 needs to lose a x plus 4, and it needs to lose another x plus 4. Okay, you don't have to write it out. You could just say, well, 6x loses 2 x's, so this is going to be 4x. And the 8 loses 2 4s, so that's going to be a 0. So this is it. This is the side length. If you want to do it here, 6x plus 8 minus x minus 4. Minus x minus 4. This negative has to go into both, don't forget. 6x minus x minus x is 4x. 8 minus 4, 0. Done. So now I have to add this area, which is x times 4x. So plus 4x squared. So the final answer is 22x squared plus 24x. Remember, this 4x squared only gets added to its like term, which is the 18x squared. This does not have a square. It is not the same. So I'm looking here, there it is. Okay, that's a pretty academic question, I would say. Next one. What is the equation of the line shown on the graph? How do you find the equation of the line? Well, I showed you. Y equals mx plus b. This is the y-intercept. Right here. 8. Y equals mx plus 8. Okay, I know it's got to look like that somehow. Okay, I'm going to start writing larger over here. No, I'm not, because I need slope. To find the slope, I need to figure out how much it's going up and how much it's going over. It doesn't look like there's much leeway here to find something, but I'm going to have to go over here because this is the only point that I know guaranteed. Like, look at these points. I don't know that. I don't know any of these. They're not exact. I just know these. So I'm going to use them. No problem. Mistake alert. When you're doing something on the EQAO, you need to look at your scale. This is not going up by 1. This is going up by 2s. So this is a rise of 16. This is not a run of 3. This is a run of 6. And if you're looking up here and you count 3, you're wrong. Because look, it's 6. Okay, so my slope, finally use my board. Slope is always rise over run or y over x. So up and down over this. I can reduce this, so please reduce it. And this is going to be 13 over 3. Okay, sorry, actually, that's not a 13. If I take half of both, that's an 8. So you might be thinking, well, I know the y-intercept, and I know the slope. So what's going on here? How do I not why isn't the answer here? So the answer's not here. I'm certain the answer's not here. Well, it is. It just might not be in slope-intercept form. It might be in standard form. These 3 are in standard form. This is the only one in y-intercept form. So actually, all I know is that it's not this one for sure, because it doesn't look like that. So what do I have to do? Put it in standard form. There's no fractions here, so I'm going to get rid of the fractions. I'm going to multiply everything by 3. 3y is 8x plus 24. These 3's would cancel out by multiplying by 3. Now, how does this look? Well, it looks like the x's are all the way on the left and the y's are next to it. Okay, well, I'm going to make it look like that. I'm going to say 8x, this comes over, minus 3y, and this has to come this way, is negative 24. Okay, notice how I went to the right because I wanted to keep the x positive because the x's are positive here. So, does any have 8x minus 3y is negative 24? It does not. Something's wrong. And that thing is this. Mistake right from the beginning. This is a negative 8. Negative 8. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So this is negative, which makes it positive. And now I know for sure 8x minus 3y is 24. It's this one. That's a hard question. Okay, not only do you have to know y-intercept and slope, that's not a hard thing. That's pretty easy to come up with this, but that's not here. So you don't have to just know y, slope, and intercept form. You need to know how to change it into standard form. You need to. All right, the answer might be hidden in that. All right, last 2 questions. R value. You might not have talked about R value, but you need to know R value. R value is how correlated points are to a line of best fit. This is strong correlation. This is a R value close to 1, let's say. Okay, really high R value. Negative R values are just negative, all right? But when the points are really far away, this is going to be negative something. I can say, I don't know, negative 0.6. So we have negative 1 on a big scale and positive 1 with 0 in the middle. This is strong negative correlation. This is strong positive correlation. Around here, no correlation, very weak correlation when it's 0. Okay. Which of the following correlation coefficients would indicate the weakest linear relationship between the 2 variables? The weakest means closest to 0, done. The only reason you should get this question wrong is you have no idea what the correlation coefficients are. You don't know what R value is. That's the only way. Otherwise, brainless. Okay, last question, investing. Finally, something cool. So Rami plans to invest $1,000 for 3 years using one of the following interest calculation options. Option 1, simple interest at a rate of 2.8% per year. Okay, that sucks. Simple interest sucks. Option 2, compound interest at a rate of 2% per year, compounded monthly. Ooh, compound interest with the same rate? That's good. Compound interest at a rate of 2.8% per year, compounded annually. Wait a minute, what's the difference between these two? Oh, this is monthly, this is annually. I'm gonna underline those words. I know you can't on a computer, but take note. Select the two true statements below. Option 1 earns the greatest amount of interest. That's definitely false because simple interest is trash. Option 3 is an example of linear growth. No, simple interest is linear and compound is exponential. That's why we love compound, because we make a lot of money later, right? These are already false. So if time's up and I have to submit this test, I'm selecting these two, but I have some time. Option 2 earns more than option 3. Option 2, option 3. Okay, they're both compound. They're both the same interest rate. Ooh, look at the compounding period. This is more often. And if it's compounded more often, it's definitely going to make more money. Option 3 earns more than option 1. Of course it does. This is trash. Okay, and done. I know these videos are a little long to go through only 27 questions, but 27 questions is 1 day of the EQAO. The first half is 14 questions, the second half is 13 questions, and you're gonna get questions pretty similar to this. You have 4 options to choose from, 2 are terrible, and you have to read the question, okay? I highly recommend making notes while you're doing the test with paper and a pen and a calculator and just like showing every single step of work. Show more than you would on a normal day because this test is formatted to make you make a mistake. Okay, so go in there knowing that and defend it. All right.